Black Lives Matter is a movement for the rights of African Americans. According to the Black Lives Matter website, the organization was founded by Opal Tometi, Alicia Garza, and Patrice Kahn-Cullors in 2012. They're an all-inclusive organization whose call to action was to connect all African American peoples who desire justice in their community. They were put into action after the death of Trayvon Martin. During this case, George Zimmerman, who shot and killed Trayvon, was acquitted. Ever since then, Black Lives Matter has spoken against incidents like this. People who have died, like Michael Brown and Stephen Clark, are what fuel the fire of this movement. They stand against the inequality instituted in society. Black Lives Matter took to social media to spread their message. They share stories of victims of inequality and what people can do to help. Although until they were unified online, the movement had little to no direction, they now have become very successful in their goals. Through platforms like Twitter, they have united many people to help the issues that this organization stands against. They unite through donations, protests, and boycotts to help people have an active role in the change they want. This helps people interact with the movement not only on social media, but in real life.
In this video clip, it will show the history of the Black Lives Matter movement and how some people get involved in it.
This because of this. And this. And this.
You shot 4 bullets into him, sir. He was just getting his license and registration, sir.
Which give rise to this. Black Lives Matter is a hashtag, a rallying cry, a movement. And it lies directly at the intersection of race relations and deadly force in America. So here's the situation. The US government doesn't keep an official count of shootings by law enforcement, but an ongoing Washington Post tally identified 990 fatal shootings by law enforcement in 2015. Of the 93 unarmed civilians killed by police in these cases, more than 40% were black, despite the fact that black people make up 13% of the nation's population. In 1992, when Los Angeles police officers were acquitted over the beating of black cab driver Rodney King, there was anger, there were riots, but there was no movement. Today, the difference is social media. But how did this movement start? In 2012, Trayvon Martin was gunned down by George Zimmerman, who wasn't a cop, but a neighborhood watch volunteer who claimed he shot Martin in self-defense. After Zimmerman's acquittal in 2013, the phrase Black Lives Matter debuted as a hashtag on Twitter and at signs on protest rallies around the nation. It reemerged in a big way a year later, when Michael Brown was shot by Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson, and a protest freedom ride to Ferguson took place under the Black Lives Matter banner. More than 500 people from 18 cities attended, and in August of 2014, the hashtag Black Lives Matter was used more than 52,000 times.
After learning about the organization, one of the first ways you can get involved is by raising money for the cause by donating to it. Since Black Lives Matter is a non-profit organization, that means they don't receive any money from the US and that it is just donations from different people. For example, according to the LA Times article Black Lives Matter Charity, it states that since November, the non-profit charity, also known as IDEX, has been acting as a mostly unseen financial arm of Black Lives Matter, with the ability to receive grants and tax-deductible donations on the group's behalf. This illustrates how the movement of Black Lives Matter gets donations from many organizations who help them to spread their message, even when they don't have the financial means to. If people like you give donations to them, it helps make their message more effective because they are able to spread it more frequently throughout the world using multiple platforms. Another way for you to get more involved in Black Lives Matter is to participate in the numerous protests that they have every year. These protests have been widely known throughout the world for being highly effective and a way for the movement to demonstrate their message peacefully without having to use violence. For instance, according to the article 5 Years Later, Do Black Lives Matter?, it explained that on December 13, 2014, 50,000 people marched through the streets of New York with chants that connected Ferguson, Missouri to the New York City and then to the nation. Hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe, and Black Lives Matter. There were protests across the nation in cities large and small. These protests have gotten major news coverage due to how many people became involved because they are individuals fighting for the same cause. Protests are one of the best ways to get involved rather than just staying off social media and not being out there getting actively involved. These have been able to inspire political change in America and form new laws to help African Americans. One of the various ways to get actively involved in Black Lives Matter is to participate in their boycotts. They have boycotted many a times against businesses who don't see Black lives as important to them and keep going on with their hurtful ways. For example, a group of Black Lives Matter participants staged a boycott against 24 Hour Fitness due to the fact that 2 black men were fatally shot by police officers there, and many of the workers described the 2 black men as violent and homeless. According to the KnockLA.com, the article Boycott 24 Hour Fitness Until the Black Lives Matter Los Angeles Demands Are Met states that in the span of less than 2 years in Los Angeles, 2 black men were killed by law enforcement while patronizing 24-hour fitness locations. In both cases, the employees relied on law enforcement as a means to resolve alleged conflict with their members. If thousands of people boycott this company, then it would be able to realize the effect that it has on the black community and want to change their ways and fix how they handled that situation. Additionally, it would hopefully make these people see black bodies as important and not degrade black people on how they look. If you join some other boycotts, you could potentially help the cause and help to get social and political reform for people of color, which displays your activism in the organization. As the movement Black Lives Matter has multiple ways to get involved in the organization without having to fall into the habit of slacktivism. The use of boycotts, protests, and donations have helped the Black Lives Matter organization so much in the past in order to spread their messages to different people all around the world. By helping Black Lives Matter not only on social media but also in the real world, you can help this organization to make political and social reforms in the U.S. that have been needed for people of color for decades.